I'm not calling it Iron Fist vs. Poe. Poe vs. Iron Fist rolls off the tongue way better, fuck off. It's finally here, the day the sun explodes, according to myself in another video. I didn't know exactly what to do with this video at first. I mean, unlike everything else this season, there aren't really any directly related episodes that I'd have any desire to cover. I've heard a few options: Smokey vs McGruff because it's the only other episode to feature a bear, Terminator vs Robocop because it's the only movie death battle to not feature Star Wars or Godzilla, or Nightwing vs Daredevil because Daredevil and Iron Fist are both members of the Defenders, and also every Marvel episode, but no, I'm not fucking doing that. But I've decided that this time I'll just be covering Poe vs Iron Fist on its own. Because there aren't any other directly related episodes, there's not much else I can really go with. There are some I could stretch, like the ones I just mentioned, but because of the personal significance that Poe on Death Battle holds to me, I feel it's only right for me to dedicate a whole video to Poe vs Iron Fist on its own. And I'm talking about the next time as well, but that's hardly going to be a majority of the video. Also, I'm just completely jumping the ship and uploading this review as soon as it's finished instead of waiting till Wednesday like I have for the last few. Sorry Nemesis, but I am not keeping a video where I get to talk about Kung Fu Panda unlisted for 2 days.
Oh, of course you did.
So, with the episode finally being out, what did I think of it? Well, a bit of context in case you don't know how I've felt about the rest of the season up until now. My respective thoughts on all of the episodes summed up so far are godlike, pretty good, snooze fest, great, bad. A true rollercoaster of emotions with episodes all across the quality spectrum. This worried me for this episode, especially knowing it was going to be sprites. This meant that Poe was likely going to have a custom rig, and we all know how those worked out in Season 7. But now that the episode's out, how was it? Well, guys, I wanted to love this episode so badly. Putting Yoda vs Mickey aside, since that's clearly not something I can reasonably expect them to top for me, I at least wanted this to become my new second favourite of the season and surpass Heihachi vs Geese, let alone fucking Lex vs Doom. And, well, they actually did it. This episode is pretty much everything I could have wanted. Starting off with the analysis, it was written by Lousy and edited by Nick, which was also the case for Lex vs Doom, and holy shit, it is like night and day between these two episodes. The editing is just as good visually as in Lex vs Doom, but without the sound effects being nearly as obnoxious. And the jokes are actually funny. It actually made me laugh a few times. The only part that stood out as particularly unfunny to me was the whole fursona demon thing, but the rest was all really solid. I joked about how disinterested I was in Iron Fist, but rewatching the episode on my own time, it was actually cool to learn about him. He actually ended up having my favourite running gag with the whole insensitivity punch thing. Also, I got several new soundbites of Boomstick saying the funny dumpling word and also the name of the old guy from that one movie I won't shut the fuck up about. And in general, it just made me really happy to hear them talk about Kung Fu Panda. It was such a surreal experience. It always makes me really happy on the rare occasion a series I hold close to me finally gets their first death battle. Just hearing them name drop all these characters from Kung Fu Panda put a smile on my face. Only 2 other episodes have ever been able to replicate this same feeling for me. Mub vs Tatsumaki and Trace, moving on. I liked the conclusion too. I definitely changed my mind on wanting Iron Fist to win when I heard that Poe could pull it off without being put on a cosmic scale. And you bet I was thrilled to see my boy pull through. Wow, that's like 2 whole minutes of talking about the analysis. Probably a new record for me. Anyway, now for the animation. And given how invested I was in this episode, I'll do a full scene by scene breakdown, sure. This is something very new for me, so let's hope it works out. So we open with a nice establishing shot and then move to Iron Fist doing some practice exercises. Poe gushes over seeing some random guy doing unfamiliar martial arts shit, which feels perfectly in character for him. They even include a reference to the opening of the first Kung Fu Panda film in his gushing, which I really appreciated. Also, the voice performance for Poe is excellent. Austin Lee Matthews sells every line delivery amazingly. It's not a one-to-one perfect Jack Black impersonation obviously, but it still captures the spirit of Jack Black perfectly. And it's shocking how close they were able to get to replicating his voice. Especially when the guy's previous performances on Death Battle were for Frank West and fucking Ultron. That's some really impressive range. Also, while I'm on this first shot of Poe, I really like these custom sprites. They're really expressive, which is definitely appreciated, and his body having a lot of black on it helps the different part of the rigs blend in way better. Then Iron Fist gets his first line, and I like Jonathan Bullock's voice for him. There's no one real canon voice for Iron Fist given that he's a comic character, so they just had to give him a voice that seems like it fits his design, and I think this one fits quite well. Not a fan of the way he looks in this shot though, the dot eyes in the mouth don't look quite right to me, and neither does his arm floating over the rest of his body. Back to positives now though, the setup for the fight is really wholesome. It's just a friendly sparring match with good vibes between the characters, I like that. I was super worried that Iron Fist was going to insult Poe after he did the chuckle, but he didn't, and I breathed a huge sigh of relief. So, the fight starts, and I do have a few minor issues with how, for a sparring match, it feels like they're starting off way too strongly. Both are letting out huge grunts, Poe is noticeably already being hurt, and his expressions look a bit too aggressive at points. The animation is still good though, it's fast, fluid, and the hits feel meaty thanks to good sound design. Not a fan of the wall bounce though. I appreciate the reference to the Tai Lung fight, but the hit feels pretty weak since it uses the same sound effect as their basic punches. I think more emphasis should have been put on Danny reacting to Poe flying back rather than the hit itself. This looks like it's meant to be slow motion, but it doesn't give the moment enough time to sink in. Then there's some more good bits of fighting. Iron Fist uses his hypnosis and we get to see Poe resist it with another neat reference to the Tai Lung fight. This also gives me the chance to talk about the hand-drawn stuff, which has been pretty good so far. But trust me, you have not seen anything yet. Poe uses what I think is meant to be the Thundering Windhammer. Unless I'm misremembering, I'm pretty sure he has to spin really fast to do that. Or he's just using a different green energy blast that I don't know about. Iron Fist gets a few more lines with thankfully much better looking expressions now, and Poe is too distracted fanboying over him using chi to get out of the way, and I love that. Not as much as I love the next shot though. Poe falling down the stairs is great, one of the funnier moments of the fight, and that is saying a lot. Also, it's another reference to the Tai Lung fight, based. Then Poe grabs onto some bamboo as yet another reference to the Tai Lung fight. Yeah, there are quite a lot of those in here, but you will not hear me complaining about the inclusion of a single one of them. The following staff fight is really fun, and Poe eats Danny's staff, which I found really funny. And he gets to show off how he can use the environment to his advantage in unconventional ways by making Danny sneeze to get him in position for the whooshy finger hold. And the entire scene revolving around him trying to pull the move off is just so fucking funny, I love it so much. It also includes a line that is, you guessed it, a reference to the Tai Lung fight. The move itself doesn't have the big fuck off energy wave, but yeah, that's hardly something that's going to take away from my enjoyment that much. So now the rest of the fight takes place in the spirit realm. And given that orange is my favourite colour, you can imagine I'd be quite happy that it's the majority of the palette for the rest of the fight. Poe uses the Golden Lotus clap, which strangely doesn't seem to do much. Unless I missed a thing in the analysis about Danny being able to unblind himself or fight without his eyesight. In which case, that's my bad. And he launches Poe to a separate floating island, which feels more impactful than Hulk and Broly smashing a planet apart. As for the rest of the climax, god, it gets me so hyped every time I rewatch it. The hand-drawn stuff is insane. I am so glad that Heihachi vs. Geese barely had any hand-drawn stuff that it didn't need, because it feels like that let so much more time and budget go towards the fucking stellar clashing of the Chi Dragons and also Sans Danny. This all looks legitimately stunning and I just adore every second of it. The music also changes to feel more like the score from the Poe vs Kai battle in Kung Fu Panda 3, which is certainly appreciated. Actually, this gives me a good chance to talk about the music now. Ignoring how funny I find the name because of shitty inside jokes, Dragons and Dumplings is really, really good. Not something I'd listen to on my own probably, but it underscores this fight very nicely. It feels really upbeat and not too high octane, the perfect kind of track for what started as a friendly sparring match. You can really hear the influence the Kung Fu Panda score had on this track at a lot of points, which is a massive upside since I love the music in those films. Beyond just the music and the visuals, I really like Poe's "Get ready to feel the thunder" line. I also really like Danny's line in concept. Yeah, I think this is the one delivery that Matthews fumbled a bit. His Heart of the Dragon doesn't sound nearly as surprised as it should, and I think the whole line would have benefited from being higher energy. The finisher is a vaporization death, which can definitely be really lame a lot of the time, but I think the build up and gorgeous visuals really save this one from being boring. So yeah, strong way to close out the fight. Well, it would have been. Yeah, I don't like the last shot where Poe returns to the regular realm. Yeah, I would have definitely preferred a more down-to-earth, calmer line where Poe bows to Danny saying how he admired his power, or something along those lines. Instead, we get Poe super fucking stoked to have vaporized a guy he met like 3 minutes ago, which I really can't get with. I hate to end on a bummer, but it is how it is. So that's my significantly longer than usual breakdown of Poe vs Iron Fist. And I gotta say, I fucking adored this episode. Pretty much everything was on point. There were a few minor issues here and there that bugged me, but I never at any point thought, wow, this fucking sucks. I wish I could be watching a better episode right now, Cable vs Booster Gold o'clock, which has been an issue that a few other episodes this season have had. So, what score would I give it? Well, undoubtedly, I gotta give it a 4 out of 10. Remember I said in the Blake vs Mikasa review that I would drop this episode's score by 5 points if Tai Lung wasn't name dropped. Footage of him and his name in the sidebar don't cut it. Boomstick has to verbally say the name of the funny leopard man or else the whole season's fucking garbage. Okay, but for real, easy 9 out of 10 episode. Definitely on the higher end for me. Maybe it'll even get up to a 10 on rewatches, who knows. I'm just so happy that Poe got an episode as good as this. He's my second favourite character the show has ever used, so I would have been gutted if his episode ended up being shit. And no, Poe being in the episode wasn't going to make me like it instantly regardless, because my favourite character death battles ever used is Bowser, which, yeah, we all know how that went. Please God, let this episode do well so we can get more Kung Fu Panda fights. Splinter vs Shifu or Kai vs Ermac, those would be really fun. Or just give us more animated film characters in general, sure. So, next time, Steven Universe vs Star Butterfly. Not Gohan vs Superboy like what Brandon and Sidud bamboozled the NEM server into thinking, unfortunately. I think I speak for everyone when I say that I would much rather we got Gohan vs Superboy. Come on, it's been so long since our last DC fight, like 4 whole episodes. When are you gonna throw a bone to us DC fans, huh? Oh yeah, and also DJ's apparently on this one. Hoping he gets another W to his name after the last episode he researched being somehow both boring and ironically hilarious at the same time. No need for me to speculate on what the animation style is going to be, it's already confirmed that it's a sprite episode. I was disappointed at first that it isn't going to be hand-drawn, but then it was explained to me that they'd be able to do more with sprites without putting the budget too high. So that makes sense, I guess. I'd imagine they'd have custom sprites since there aren't really a whole lot of great ones that exist for either of them, let alone ones that match. They showed how well they can do custom sprites now with Poe this episode. Please let that not be a fluke. I hope they use Steven's design from the movie in the future series. I like the version of him with a neck way more. For specific moments I want in the fight, I think it could be a really standout moment if we get a fake out where Steven nearly kills Star, sees himself as a monster for it, and then turns into the big pink kaiju. But I'm unsure how they'd write that to make it not feel rushed or something. I want Pink Steven to slow down his perception of time, and then Star can see that he's done that and freeze time to counter him. Oh yeah, and no quirky one-liners about that if it happens, please and thank you. I've already got to cover Ben vs Hal for my review next time, so please, no more Titan lines. Yeah, once again, not much to say here really for what I want. Despite how excited I am for this match, I only really know one of the characters. Just please let this episode be good. This is the teased fight that I've been most looking forward to. Time for the reaction highlights now, and I actually made it this time, yay. I had work when the episode came out, but everyone who watched the episode wanted to wait on me getting home so they could watch it with me. Thanks guys, that really means a lot to me. Not much more to say here, hopefully you all enjoyed the video, go watch Nem's one, now enjoy the highlight reel.
Please, Poe! Please, Poe!
Yeah. I really want Poe to win. Like, if I can't get a Bowser dub, I at least want a Poe dub. This is so fucking surreal to see them using Kung Fu Panda footage.
I know, right?
Holy shit, it's Marvel! It's literally Marvel!
It's the Sidud character.
Hard to say, right? I quite like Iron Fist.
I love Iron Fist.
Hi!
That man got like.
I do. I love Iron Fist. I really hope he beats Poe.
I like Danny versus Jake.
I love Danny versus Jake so much. I don't care about this.
Who gives a hell? Iron
What do you
Fist?
mean? It's literally Danny Rand.
This is not Iron Fist versus Poe. This is Poe featuring Iron Fist.
Yeah.
DJ, why weren't you doing extra research for fights?
Why
not involved in?
weren't you jump foaming at the mouth to get Iron Fist? Why couldn't you go him?
Yeah, well, you wanted. What was it? Did you do Geese or Hihachi?
I didn't.
I mean, either way is worse than Iron Fist. Like, this is literally the Iron
You
Fist.
researched obscure, irrelevant Capcom fighting series and girly Sailor Moon, but didn't go to Iron Fist?
Yeah, I didn't go to Iron Fist.
DJ, you need to get your
And his
priorities
fucking
sorted.
cat of a tattoo.
Holy shit, it's Sam's.
That does look quite cool, to be fair.
Named Ping. With his expert guidance, Poe trained day and
Ah,
night.
Ping, I love Ping.
Waiter at a noodle.
I like how we're all just like so invested in Poe that we're just not saying
Yeah.
anything. Come on, where's Tyler? Where's
He idolized all
Where's
things
my
kung
one?
fu.
A dumpling.
Next to
Yes!
Can you do me a favor? Tell Lousy I said he's fucking goated.
Tiger style.
Hey, Diffie, who's that guy?
Using his round fist for defense, wearing down enemies until he gets
I think
no
it'd be cool if you put him in the
He's
thumbnail.
doing best. He's muted now.
Falls, pressure point attacks, and a move that
Holy shit, Tai Long.
caught in it to the spirit.
They could have name dropped him.
Use it on himself. The tragedy of his
He's in the sidebar!
his inner peace.
Oh.
How long is in the sidebar?
Amount of focus.
He restrained himself from a dad joke.
Poe has finally
Oh my god. Right, so they didn't say Tai Lung, so can you please not actually tell Lousy that I said he was goated? I'll be so gutted if both Poe and Bowser lose on Death Battle, like please. No.
Go. New stuff.
The new-
Ooh!
Oh shit!
Are they poison it? I was just kind of a dumpling.
Oh, I love it. Oh! Oh, they got closer down!
Oh, he's going down the stairs!
I was going to stairs! Oh,
Is he gonna fight on stilts?
oh, taking the fight! Oh.
Like the Tai Lung fight.
Oh my god!
Oh, they're doing a staff battle?
Yeah!
That tickles.
Oh!
You know this hold.
No.
You're about to learn it.
Oh! That was so funny.
Fantastic. Oh, jeez.
Oh, so cool!
Please.
Holy shit!
Get ready to feel the thunder.
They said the thing?
Still fighting.
Oh!
Yo.
Come on, boy, please!
Please!
Please! Please!
This looks so good.
Here comes his BS. Wait,
Yeah!
wait, hold on. No, it's a fake out.
Please, 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 please.
No, I think he won.
That was so cool. Wait till Master Shifu hears about this.
Yes!
There we go.
Let's go!
Yeah! That was amazing! That is the second best.
I love that so much.
That's my second favorite of the season. Easily, not even a contest.
The winner.
Yeah, Poe!
Yeah.
That was...
Next
that
time.
Right, what,
Gohan
I'm
versus
guessing
Superboy.
Star Steven, that's my guess. Fight, I'm locking it in.
Yeah, probably.
Pick up some DB merch at
I see.
store.pusherteeth.com.
Hey!
The boy! The boy! Yeah!
Let's go!
Let's not get ahead of ourselves, right? It could be not Steven, it could be someone else.